We often picture medieval women as helpless figures waiting in high towers for a rescue. This Victorian-era stereotype paints a picture of passive victims trapped by their circumstances. But the historical reality is far more dynamic and surprising than any fairy tale. In the bustling markets, women were the backbone of trade and local commerce. Within stone castle walls, noble women were not just decorative symbols of status. They managed vast estates and legal affairs while their husbands were away at war. In every village, women served as the primary healers and keepers of botanical lore. Their knowledge of herbs and medicine was essential for the survival of their communities. From the lowliest peasant to the highest queen, they shaped the world around them. It is time to look past the myth and see the real women of the Middle Ages. They were architects of society, business owners, and powerful political players. Their lives were defined by agency and influence rather than simple domesticity and silence. Join us as we uncover the true stories of the women who built the medieval world. Before the sun even rises over the village, the peasant woman's day begins at the central stone hearth. Maintaining the fire is more than a chore. It is the heart of family survival. Bread is the foundation of every meal, requiring hours of physical labor. She works the dough with strength born from years of repetitive heavy duty. Outside the cottage, she manages the garden that feeds the household. Cabbages, leeks, and herbs provide the essential nutrients that grain alone cannot. She also tends to the small livestock, ensuring chickens and pigs are fed. Whenever her hands are not busy with food, they are busy with wool. Spinning is a constant background task, performed during every spare moment. The thread she produces becomes the clothes they wear, or goods to trade. Water must be hauled from the village well, often multiple times a day. This relentless physical labor defines the grueling reality of daily life for the rural poor across Europe. When harvest time arrives, the distinction between men's and women's work fades. She joins the men in the fields, swinging a sickle under the hot sun. The survival of the village depends on every able-bodied person during the reaping. As dusk falls, she returns to the dim light of her own small home. While the men rest, her evening chores of cooking and cleaning are just starting. She is the manager of the home's limited resources, making every scrap count. The medieval economy did not just run on gold, it ran on her endurance. Her life was one of constant, essential motion, anchoring the medieval world through her silent and steady toil. As the countryside faded, a new world of opportunity opened for women within city walls. In these urban centers, the air was thick with the scent of roasting malt. Brewing ale was an economic cornerstone and, for centuries, a strictly female domain. Known as brewsters, these women turned a chore into a thriving commercial enterprise. They sold surplus ale from their kitchens to neighbors and weary travelers. Ale was a safe, nutritious alternative to the city's often tainted water supply. This trade provided women with financial independence and a public voice. Beyond taverns, the rhythmic clatter of looms echoed through the narrow streets. Textile production powered the city, and women were its most skilled operators. Many were specialized artisans working with the most expensive luxury materials. From delicate silk to gold embroidery, they crafted the status symbols of the elite. Their quality was so renowned that special guilds were formed exclusively for women. These guilds allowed them to set prices and control the standards of their craft. It was a space where women controlled their own professional and legal destiny. Some women even achieved the rank of master, a title usually reserved for men. Masters could own workshops, train apprentices, and vote in prestigious guild assemblies. They navigated complex legal systems to protect their businesses and family legacies. Their success challenged the notion that a woman's place was only the home. The urban landscape was shaped by their labor, from markets to merchant houses. They were the invisible architects of a commercial revolution transforming the economy. Every transaction and bolt of cloth was a testament to their urban resilience. Managing accounts and negotiating contracts required a sharp mind and steady hand. Widows often took over their late husbands' businesses with remarkable professional efficiency. They were savvy entrepreneurs who expanded fortunes and maintained vast trade networks. In the city's grime, these women built lives of influence and professional pride. While many women in this era were tied to the hearth, others found a different kind of freedom behind stone walls. The convent was not just a place of prayer, but a rare sanctuary for the development of the female mind. Here, the veil offered a layer of protection from the heavy demands of marriage and the dangers of childbearing. Inside the quiet scriptorium, sisters mastered the arts of literacy, calligraphy, and the preservation of history. They painstakingly copied ancient texts, their quills scratching against vellum in the silence of the morning. In an age where few women could read, these cloistered scholars were the true keepers of intellectual knowledge. Leadership was another rare gift granted to these holy women within the hierarchy of the church. An abbess was more than a spiritual guide. She was a powerful executive managing significant resources. She governed vast estates, negotiated with kings, and provided order for hundreds of people under her care. Artistic expression flourished within these cloisters in ways the secular world rarely allowed or witnessed. Visionary composers like Hildegard of Bingen created complex, haunting music that still resonates in modern cathedrals. They wrote poetry and theological treatises that challenged the most brilliant male scholars of their age. Science and medicine also found a home among the abbey gardens and the quiet infirmaries. Nuns were the primary healers of their communities, mixing salves and studying the medicinal properties of local plants. Their expertise was recorded in detailed botanical manuals, passing scientific observation down through the centuries. The intricate tapestries they wove were far more than simple decorations for their cold stone walls. Each silk stitch told a story, capturing history and holy scripture in vibrant, enduring threads. Behind the veil, women did not just escape the world, they built a sophisticated world of their own. While we often viewed the Middle Ages as a time of total male dominance, the law tells a more complex story. Within the dusty archives of local courts, we find women actively wielding significant legal power. This agency was most visible in the lives of widows, who emerged as powerful independent figures. Marriage usually placed property under a husband's control, but widowhood changed the legal landscape. Under the legal concept of dower, a widow was entitled to a third of her late husband's lands for life. This was not just a symbolic inheritance, but a practical means of survival and social influence. Widows managed vast estates, negotiated leases, and oversaw the difficult labor of the harvest. They became independent legal entities, known as femmes sole, capable of acting in their own names. This status allowed them to sign contracts, borrow money, and even sue those who wronged them. In the eyes of the law, their signatures and seals carried the full weight of authority. We see them appearing in courtrooms, standing before judges to defend their rights or claim their due. They weren't just passive observers, but litigants who understood the intricate rules of the system. They fought for their children's inheritance and protected their boundaries against encroaching neighbors. Beyond the fields, urban women carved out spaces in the growing commercial world of the cities. Many took over workshops, becoming masters of trades like brewing and weaving. The records are filled with their names, etched in ink on thousands of surviving parchment rolls. These documents prove that medieval society relied heavily on female management and legal literacy. Their agency was restricted, certainly, but it was far from non-existent in the daily life of the village. Through land and law, these women ensured their families thrived and their voices were recorded in history. In the medieval world, healthcare was often a family affair led by women. From the local woods to the kitchen hearth, they were the primary healers for their communities. Knowledge of plants and their healing properties passed from mother to daughter for generations. Every village had its wise woman, an expert in the local flora and its hidden powers. She knew which root could break a fever and which leaf could soothe a painful burn. These remedies were the results of centuries of trial, error, and shared observation. Dried bundles of mugwort, yarrow, and mint hung from the rafters of almost every cottage. These were the essential tools of a trade that blended natural science with long-held tradition. While men dominated the emerging universities, women were the ones who truly dominated the bedside. The most respected among them was the midwife, a figure of immense communal importance. She was a skilled professional, often licensed by the church to perform her vital duties. Midwifery was a strictly female space where men were rarely permitted to enter the birthing room. During labor, the midwife managed the atmosphere, the prayers, and the physical safety of the mother. It was a high-stakes environment where her experience meant the difference between life and death. These women also handled broader health care, treating everything from broken limbs to stubborn infections. They brewed tonics and prepared poultices using ingredients like raw honey and apple vinegar. Their work was grounded in a deep, practical understanding of the human body and its cycles. Even as medical practice became more regulated, the local healer remained the first point of contact. This enduring legacy of care formed the backbone of medieval health and survival across Europe. History often feels like a gallery filled with kings, knights, and conquerors. But beneath the surface of famous names, a different story unfolded daily. It was a world built by women whose names were rarely written down. They were the invisible architects of the medieval foundations we walk upon today. Every thread in a tapestry and every herb in a garden told a tale of survival. From the smallest cottage to the grandest abbey, their labor was the constant rhythm of life. In the quiet corners of monasteries and manor houses, they preserved knowledge and culture. They mastered the arts of medicine and management when society looked the other way. These women held the keys to households and the secrets of the natural world. Their influence was not found in decrees, but in the resilience of the community. The bustling markets thrived on their trade, craft, and sharp economic wit. They were business owners and healers, shaping the very soul of the continent. The modern world owes its complexity to these forgotten contributions. We are the descendants of their ingenuity and their tireless, unspoken strength. While the ink of the chronicles may have faded, their impact remains etched in our culture. They are the ghosts in the archives, the silent builders of our collective memory. To understand our past, we must look beyond the battles and the thrones. We must honor the women who shaped the Middle Ages from the shadows. Their legacy is not a footnote, but the very ink of history itself.